So this week at a jail trust meeting, Kevin Calvey announced his appointee, which is none other than Chad Alexander. Free Press wrote some good coverage of this. I think Non-Doc had some good stuff too. People got kind of grumpy with Brett and OKC Free Press for using Chad's booking photo when he was arrested. For those that don't know the history here, Chad Alexander is a longtime political consultant. He was partnered with a guy, Fount Holland, who at one time, and I think Chad even replied to this to me in a tweet when I said somewhere near half the Republicans, and he said more than half the Republicans, they got elected. Like, they were the consultant that basically got every person in that building elected, including, I think, Joy Hoffmeister the first time. Chad split off at some point, moved across the street, and opened a dark money group doing independent expenditures. At some point, he gets caught by the police. He got pulled over, had cocaine and pills on his front seat. This arrest led them to be able to access his phone, which then showed all sorts of shit. Political operatives generally don't want people outside the circle of trust knowing. And basically, it led to a whole domino of, like, probably you could have, if you were an enterprising district attorney, you probably could have taken down like a substantial number of the Republicans in the state legislature and even statewide. And so Joy Hoffmeister actually did get investigated for coordinating with an independent expenditure, which is against campaign finance laws. Those
family value.
Yeah.
Party of
Her ignorance was she didn't know, which of course ignorance is not a defense of the law. But anyway, Prater ended up dismissing the charges. This is what he does. He loves to go after people and then let them off the hook once he's, signaled to them that he's got their number. But anyway, that's Chad Alexander. He was the key to taking down every Republican in the state, but there was nobody willing to go after it. Anyway, now he gets to be on the jail trust. And so my take, just very quickly, as I've kind of rambled on about who he is that I don't, Calvey pitches out Chad Alexander as like a redemption story. Like, he screwed up, he became an addict, he got his life back together, and now he's a right-wing radio guy. My issue is he's a right-wing radio guy, and he was always a political monster. Like, he never advocated for anything but rank partisan politics. And so, when you really dig into his story, he became an addict when he got caught, with like a small amount of drugs. Like, it was a recreational use only amount of drugs. He got off with, I believe, no jail time from what I could research.
That's probably if he had no Proctor, it's probably probation.
Yeah, and mind you, in his arrest, I mean, he had drugs on the seat. He was driving. I don't know if he was under the influence. It doesn't say, but they didn't test him, so who knows. But he also impersonated an officer because he was working as a consultant for Mashburn down in Cleveland County. So he said he was an ADA, which was a lie. So, a bunch of shit that would get a normal person in lots of trouble. You would be in a shitload of trouble. He's never advocated. I think he joined the board. Again, he went to get treatment in some out of state, $30,000, a session, whatever, detox facility. He got let out. He joined the board of some nonprofit that does addiction treatment work, but that's it, right? He's never advocated for candidates that meaningfully want to reform the system. He's never come out publicly and said we need to raise taxes to fund, treatment and mental health and all the stuff that is leading to our mass incarceration. He didn't do any of that. He just got himself out of trouble and then did enough to look good for a judge and served his 5 years probation, and now he's going to be on the jail trust, which I don't know. I mean, whatever.
What you speak about is fundamental to that side of the aisle and Calvey and the problem. I spoke earlier about the animating principle of my progressive politics is seeing the humanity in everybody. The animating principle, if we're going to get to the nuts and bolts of their side of the aisle, it's only seeing the humanity in them.
Yep.
Like what you're speaking about is grace, right? He made a mistake. We all make mistakes. At this point in our lives, a lot of us have struggled with addiction, or definitely have family members that have struggled with addiction. And so because of that, we believe that everyone deserves some grace and understanding and seeing their humanity as to how we can best help them get to where they would like to be, right? That's all it is. He had a problem. He received help. He redeemed himself. I don't only like the term redeemed, right? He made a mistake as a human. Human beings make mistakes, and I'm happy for him. He found a way to get himself out of a dark place. The question becomes, does he have any fucking motivation to help other people? And he hasn't revealed that, right? Like that's what gets you on the board of these organizations, is that I received grace, people saw my humanity, and now I'm taking up on myself to see others. I'm taking up on myself to see others in a very serious way. It means I'm not only going on some fucking PR campaign for my own innocence and then starting on a fucking radio show, or even if you're gonna do a fucking radio show. On that radio show, you bring on activists, you bring on politicians, you bring on funders. You are taking legitimate steps into humanizing those people who are in this very dark place that you once found yourself in, so they can get that grace that you received, and we can really fix this problem.
Yep.
He's done none of that.
And in fact, the opposite. I mean, he's done the polar opposite of that. Like demonize. I mean, I just checked in on a show the other day. He had Langford on, and it was just not. It was 10 minutes of like pure xenophobia. Open borders. The hordes are on our shores, and so I mean, it's just like fuck off, dude. Like just I can't.
And that's the thing. They flood the streets with fentanyl, lock them up. It's like, weren't you about to just get locked up? But that's the thing, man. It's like the in group, out group that animates them. It's like the in group deserves grace. So we know you think that people deserve grace. We know that people struggle with addiction. We know that people need health care. We know that people deserve higher wages. We know that people don't come here as to rape, murder, and pillage. We know these things.
Right.
You just don't want them applied to your out group. Right. And we spoke about that again, like the pragmatism of black voters and all. Like, we know these things. We just know that we know that you don't want it to be given to people outside of you. He hasn't gotten there yet. And because he hadn't gotten there yet, and he views others and the out groups as problems, then he cannot, or I shouldn't say he cannot, fuck he is. He should not be on the jail trust.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And so, I mean, and when you look at his political body of work, I mean, it's, he built the modern Republican machine. I mean, he was there in the strategy room, talking about it, figuring out the messaging. I mean, so it's like, I just can't like hand wave that away. So, I mean, he might have a story that in some twisted way can be seen as a redemption story. But again, it's like, he's not advocating for every addict at the county jail to get, a $30,000, getaway to a detox facility or a place. He went away for a month. I think about like what are the options for people, normal people in Oklahoma County, and it's like the recovery center, which is like a maximum of like 14 days of like bunk style detox, at a place that's overcrowded, under-resourced. Or it's these plethora of private entities where you're basically on your own. And, I just... Right. Right. So anyway, it just... I just can't... I can't get on board with that... with absolving of that without seeing more evidence that he is genuine about coming up with solutions necessary to fix the problem. Thanks for watching our video. Please give it a like and hit that subscribe button for more content. If If you want to engage with us, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram.